Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria if you are new to my channel, and today I'm bringing you a much requested video of a full day of eating. So before I get started on the full day of eating, I just want to give you guys a little brief history on how I have been eating throughout my life. So growing up, I was very athletic. I was a competitive swimmer, and I basically just ate whatever I wanted in high school. Majority of the time, eating options weren't the best. I then got into fitness competitions in about third-year university, and I started being very restricted and regimented in the way I was eating. I was very much eating like a bodybuilder, your typical chicken and rice, very structured. When I was dieting for competitions, I would follow the plan to a T in a strong calorie deficit, obviously to lose weight. After I stopped competing, I ended up eating more freely and just more intuitively. Last year I decided to try the keto diet just to give it a go. So I did do the keto diet for a few months. I wasn't a huge fan, but if you want to see my experience in that, you can look at my keto diet videos. So I'm back to eating basically just intuitively. I'd say I eat about 85 to 90% healthy, and the rest is kind of what I please and what I want. So as much as like eating healthy to fuel your body to feel good, you also want to make sure that you're eating to feel good mentally, and that's really important to me. So I eat foods that I enjoy, I'm not forcing myself to eat, and I'm never in any kind of starvation, so I'm always filling my body with a lot of food. And I would say my calories do change day to day as I do it intuitively. I eat how I feel, how my body feels that day, kind of how much food I need that day. If my energy resources are a lot higher because I've been working out more, doing more, I'm typically going to eat more. Certain times of the month, obviously as a woman, you're going to probably eat more. So there's a lot of factors that go into it in terms of how much I'm eating on a day-to-day basis. But I'd say roughly my calories range between 2,000 to 2,500 in a day, sometimes even about 3,000 calories. Obviously, if I'm incorporating more junk food, so if I go get a burger and fries, which is something typical I'll do, my calories would be much higher. And also a lot of times I'll get popcorn at the movies. So days like that, when I'm having popcorn, so if I'm at Swiss Chalet and I'm getting spring rolls, my calories are going to be a little bit higher. But with further ado, let's get started on this video. So the first meal you're going to see is my breakfast, and this is my favorite meal of the day, and I have been doing this breakfast for quite some time now. So I do use a coconut oil spray. Sometimes I'll use just the pure coconut oil for my frying pan. I always do 1 cup of egg whites. I do 1 whole egg. I do about 45 grams of oatmeal, which you'll see. I do about half a cup of blueberries and a scoop of the Daily Cleanse. I love the Daily Cleanse. It's just a source of healthy fats that's going to get everything moving, which is great for the morning. So I find my breakfast quite hearty. It's a good portion of food. Once I'm done it, I am quite full, but I usually do train after my first meal if I am training that day. So I find it's just a good portion of food to really get me started, get my metabolism going, and breakfast has always been my favorite meal of the day. So I've never been able to be someone who could just have a small breakfast or skips breakfast, because I find for me personally, obviously everyone's different, but breakfast is very important to me. So it's something that I do enjoy. And yeah, I got cinnamon, stevia, and I am taking some vitamins in the morning. You'll see some fish oils, vitamin C, vitamin D, especially in the winter time with that lack of sunlight. So I think in terms of breakfast, you want to make sure you're getting enough food to keep yourself full for a longer period of time, especially if you have a busy day at work and you might not be able to eat again in the near future. So yeah, that's basically my breakfast. Obviously coffee, Tim Hortons coffee, and I usually put a little bit of cream and sweetener in my coffee. I didn't show you that, but yeah, that's what I put in my coffee, and Tim Hortons is definitely my favorite. I'm gonna post the macros so you guys can check out where the calories are. I don't normally calculate things, but for this video I decided to. I'm now getting ready to work out, so I'm just shaking up some greens and some BCAAs. So getting started for my workout, I like to have a lot of liquid in myself, especially when I just went on to eating something like coffee, which is dehydrating. So this is my post-workout meal, which is basically some rice cakes, because I love popcorn flavored rice cakes. I put some almond butter on there, I put some jam on there, and I've been living off, or not living, but loving these protein bars. I found them at Whole Foods. We don't have them in Canada, but I do ship them in to Canada. I wouldn't consider them a weight loss bar, even though that's what they're labeled at, but they're an all-natural vegan plant-based protein bar, which I really enjoy. I don't find it upsets my stomach, so a lot of times I will eat those as a snack throughout the day. If I don't do that portion of the meal, and I will end up doing like a tuna fish sandwich, which you'll see here. I don't have that every day, obviously, but sometimes this is another go-to meal where I'll do 2 slices of Ezekiel bread, I'll do some lettuce, I'll do tuna, I'll do some half, I guess it's called half and half mayo, some salt, pepper, mix it all up, put it on bread, and honestly it brings me back to my childhood days when I would have, you know, a good tuna fish sandwich. And with the Ezekiel bread, the way it's sprouted, it doesn't have the same kind of gluten as it would in a normal piece of like a wheat bread, so I find it's easy on my digestive as well. I have had problems with my digestive tract in the past, so I'm mindful of those things that can flare up my digestion. I'm then moving on to making basically a chicken stew. So I like to prepare a lot of things in my slow cooker. You know, I'll do chilies, I'll do soups, I'll do stews, so this time I want to do a chicken stew. I'm gonna put basically the ingredients and the instructions on how to do it, but I'm just frying up the chicken, cutting up some of the veggies, the carrots, the celery, the onion, getting it all in the frying pan. I put some paprika, some salt, some pepper. I'm just getting the chicken to be a little bit brown on the top and the bottom, and then I'm putting it in the slow cooker. After that, I'm gonna fry up all the veggies, so I'm just frying up carrots, onion, and celery. It does call for mushrooms. I'm not a huge fan of mushrooms, so I left those ones out. Again, I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil to let it fry, let it simmer. Once it's, nice and brown, I do put that back into the slow cooker. I'm then going to add about a cup of chicken broth, and it does call for sodium reduced chicken broth, but I honestly think you can do whichever one you want. And then it does call for some potatoes. You can do any kind of potatoes you want. I like these small little red potatoes. I find they're really good in stews, so I decided to do that one. I added some salt, some pepper, some rosemary, and then it asks for tomato sauce, so you can kind of go with whatever tomato sauce you like. I believe I did the basil one, and it calls for half a cup of tomato sauce. So yeah, you just put it all in the slow cooker, you let it cook for 4 hours, and it turned out so good. I am going to use that recipe again, so if you do check out the recipe and you do use your slow cooker, I highly suggest trying this chicken recipe. There are a lot of really good beef and chili and soup stews as well, so check those out if you're using your slow cooker. It's a good way to utilize making a big amount of food, so you have dinner, lunch for a couple days. So yeah, that is for the slow cooker. And if you know me, you know that I love olives. I love all olives. Green are probably my favorite, but I do love black olives. Basically anything. I am Italian, so I feel like olives is in my blood. I'm then moving on to what I'm gonna actually eat, because I didn't eat the stew that day. So I'm making a chicken teriyaki stir fry. So I tend to eat at Swiss Chalet a lot, and if I do eat at Swiss Chalet, I get a chicken teriyaki stir fry there. Usually I get some spring rolls too, but I'd say I eat there about twice a week because I love their stir fries. And if I'm not eating there, I usually make my own, which you can see. So I'm putting about 3/4 a cup of rice. There's some carrots, some peas, some cauliflower, some broccoli, frying it all up with a little bit of olive oil. I then added 4 ounces of chicken. I'm using the Trifecta chicken because Regan has a sponsorship with Trifecta, so it's really good quality food. It's all organic meat, so that you can really taste the difference in the chicken, especially when I'm using other chicken. But a lot of times when I'm using other chicken, it's just for stew, so you can't really tell. So I'm just frying this all up with a little bit of olive oil, and then I did add some teriyaki sauce. I ended up adding a little bit more afterwards just because I didn't put enough when I fried it all up. So that's usually maybe a dinner for me, a typical dinner. And I will have it either at home or I'll have it if I'm out for dinner. Days tend to change a lot for me because I tend to eat out quite a bit. So if I'm eating out, especially if I'm eating at breakfast, I'm getting home fries, omelets, things do change. So that's the thing with doing a full day of eating. It's a little bit difficult because my days are quite different. I do have chocolate every single day. 85% dark chocolate is my jam. I have a problem, and I sometimes eat way more than the 4 cubes. But I was pretty good that day. I only did the 4. So yeah, this is the final result of the beef stew, and it turned out so good. I highly suggest doing it. So a lot of times before bed, I'll make breakfast for bed. This time I didn't do the eggs and egg whites. Sometimes I will. Instead, I just use a collagen peptide, which is basically going to be like a protein source. And I basically did the same thing I did in the morning with the half a cup oatmeal, the half a cup berries. I did a scoop of the collagen peptides. I did some fish oils to add a little bit more fat, and I also did the daily cleanse again just to add a little bit more fat. So this is something I do a lot of times. I might end up actually doing like more rice cakes with peanut butter and jam, or I'll do almond butter and banana. I really do switch things up quite a bit. A lot of times I'll get into rice cakes, Smart Pop, or some favorite things. I tend to have salads a lot of the time, so sometimes I'll have salads. So yeah, this is more just like in a quick look into like a day of eating, but I would say things do change. I like to keep my carbs up. I like to keep healthy fats up, get as much protein as I can, and then keep everything very balanced. I found with doing keto, it was so restricted in one aspect. So yeah, that is basically a wrap of a day of eating for me. As I did say, things typically do change. I do eat out frequently when I'm traveling. I go through phases where I like certain things a lot more. I get sick with them. So I would just take this as like an idea of what some meal suggestions. I do like to say that I think eating and diet and all that is very individual. I think you gotta find what works for you, what you enjoy. If you hate what you're eating, you're not likely gonna stick to it. If it's extremely restrictive, you're gonna end up with, you know, bad eating behaviors and patterns, and it could actually end up becoming, you know, something that could be much more serious than that. So I think it's very important to not restrict yourself, to be fueling your body with a lot of food and good food. I obviously could be eating more veggies and fruit, but things do change day to day. And I think it's just important to find kind of what you enjoy and what works best for you. You can obviously watch a lot of videos and get insight into it and see how people are eating, but in terms of what your results are, what you're wanting, it's going to be very much individual. And for me personally, obviously I could be doing things a lot differently if I wanted to get results physically more, but because I'm focused more on my mental health and just feeling good overall, and obviously having balance in my life, this is a more you know, easy, enjoyable, balancing type approach to eating for me that I can maintain year-round all throughout my life, as opposed to something that's very restrictive, like when I was in fitness competitions that you can only sustain and actually do for a very short period of time. So I think it's just about finding things that work for you, and obviously using videos for insight, but don't follow or don't take everything that everyone says is what you need to be doing. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. I hope if you do like it, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe. Stay tuned for more content. Bye guys.